Good afternoon. Today we gather for the unveiling of the National Hero Award bestowed posthumously to a most deserving heroine in Kate Moss, and also the revealing of the cultural mural on the entrance wall to the Department of Archives. I am Dr. Christopher Curry, member of the Advisory Council on Public Records and moderator for today's events.
Let us adopt an attitude of reverence as we pray. Almighty God, the giver of every good gift, we gather here today in a spirit of gratitude and remembrance to honor the life, the legacy, and the enduring contributions of one who walked among us with purpose, whose voice, labor, and passion has left an indelible impression on our history. As we unveil this posthumous award, we do so not only in recognition of achievements, but in celebration of a life that inspired others, a spirit that lifted those around them, and a commitment that enriched our collective memory and heritage. May, O God, this moment remind us of the power of a single life to shape generations to come, to influence justice, and to remind us of what is possible when we live not for self alone, but for the betterment and upliftment of others. We ask your blessings upon this ceremony, with blessings upon families gathered here, friends amongst us, and the wider community who continue to carry the torch. And upon the Department of Archives, add extra blessings that safeguard the legacy of this wonderful fledgling archipelago that we cherish today. May this recognition be not ending, but may it be a call to memory, to reflect and to strive towards, yes, as we just sung in our hearts, a common, loftier goal and a future worthy of the past. Bless the provisions prepared so lovingly for our nourishment and fellowship through Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And all of God's grateful, thankful children said, Amen. Amen. You may kindly be seated. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, Dr. Curry, and it is my distinct pleasure to have been asked to welcome you to this distinguished event today in what I would term a hallowed place. And in that regard, with brief remarks, let me proceed to say that, in the words of a well-known sage of the age, David McCullough, history is who we are and why we are the way we are. We thank you for your presence and taking the time out of your busy schedules, and we thank the organizers of this wonderful event to have invited us to witness what is both honorable, historic, as it is Herculean in its merit, the unveiling of and the bestowal of the Poor Black Kate Posthumous Award. Minister, I am wearing my remembrance pin of heroes that many might have forgotten in the context of Kate's memorial. This is pivotal to checking our collective cultural memory, which sometimes suffers, Miss McQueenie, amnesia. Today, we don't just slavishly open drawers and peer into records or digital data. Today, we open doors to our past, windows to our shared journey, and bridges to our glorious future. As Maya Angelou put it, the more you know your history, the more liberated you will be. Again, thanks for joining us. Our distinct pleasure. Please feel welcome and enjoy all of the value added that this occasion has to offer. Once again, welcome, and I now turn you back over to our illustrious MC, Dr. Christopher Curry.
Truly appreciate the sage wisdom in your remarks, and I believe, Dr. Toot, your prayer crystallized the solemnity and significance of this moment, and so we truly appreciate that. Thank you so much, sir. Before we bring before us and introduce the Director of Archives, who will bring remarks related to the historical context of the conferring, I myself want to just give my 2 cents per se, on the significance of today's occasion. Kate Moss unequivocally deserves recognition as a national hero. She is important for inserting her story into the narrative of resistance in Bahamian historiography. She is important for showing the world the brutality of enslavement in the Bahamas. Attempts to silence her in death proved futile, as her case made its way to England and provided powerful and convincing evidence for the British abolitionist cause. The historical record related to Kate's murder was simple. Slavery could no longer be reformed or ameliorated. It had to be terminated. Her story is important because it unsettles and disrupts the narrative that slavery was better in the Bahamas. Finally, her story is important because her resilient spirit transcends space and time. Her indomitable spirit has been rekindled over 150 years after slavery was abolished. A reminder that our heroines and heroes stretch across the rich tapestry of Bahamian history, from the remote and distant past where enslaved persons such as Kate Moss fought for liberty and freedom, to our recent founders of independence who carried the baton of faith to imbue this land with democratic principles enshrined in our current Constitution. Today is Kate's Day, and we celebrate her spirit with this unveiling event. With that said, we now turn our attention to Director of Archives, Ms. Patrice Williams, who will provide historical context on the conferring of this national honor on Kate Moss. Director Williams.
Good afternoon, and thank you all so much. I am pleased that many of you accepted the invitation to come and celebrate with us, because Kate is worth celebrating. Janice Virtus, in her article, An Even Stronger Woman, the Enslaved Black Caribbean Woman, opined that, and I quote, enslaved women took part in every important fight against slavery. Slave women courageously fought against the restrictive bonds of slavery, end quote. In Bahamian historiography, Kate Moss, though only 16 years old, through her actions of passive resistance, gave a voice to the voiceless, enslaved women in the Bahamas. Women who were subjected to cruelty, sexual abuse, and physical and mental and emotional torture. Harmony Turnbull in a paper, Cannot Destroy My Spirit, Punishment Suffered by Slave Women, commented that the female slave misery was endless and her fate uncertain, for she had more to bear than the male slave. She not only suffered from the unsolicited advances of the white masters, but also from the cruelty of the white mistresses, who resented their husbands' diabolical sexual interest in the enslaved women. It is my belief that the Negro spiritual, nobody knows the trouble I see, encapsulates their experience during slavery. Kate's suffering occurred at a time when attempts were being made by the British government to ameliorate slave conditions throughout the British West Indies. It happened after the passage of the Amelioration Act in 1824 and the New Slave Code in 1826. She was whipped and placed in stocks because she refused to mend her torn dress. It has been speculated that her torn dress was evidence that something nefarious had occurred. Through her refusal, Kate, in a distinctive way, resisted the treatment she received and resisted the life she was forced to live by giving up her life. Her actions brought to the English House of Commons. It was the abolitionists who referred to her as poor black Kate, a nomenclature which has survived for 199 years. Today, the archives, in partnership with the Communications Division of the Ministry of Education, has produced a mini-documentary on poor black Kate. This is a part of the document series, which allows the document's historical narrative to speak. It is fitting, therefore, that we memorialize her contribution to the struggle and her courage to resist in the face of unspeakable torture. Thank you.
Director Williams, we are so grateful for the historical perspective you have provided, offering a powerful and refreshing overview of the meaning of this historical moment, which brings us all together. Thank you again. At this time, I ask Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Education, Technical and Vocational Training, Mrs. Lorraine Umbrister, to come forward to introduce our keynote speaker.
Thank you, Dr. Curry.
My task is really not very difficult. Minister is known to everybody, and Minister has a particular interest in all things historical and all things which have to do with the upliftment of Bahamian people and ensuring that Bahamian people, and particularly Bahamian women, have their place in history. We know of her significant achievements as a Bahamian politician, but certainly as a Bahamian public officer and all she's brought to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Certainly, I'm thinking you'll all be aware of our recently launched history text, and we have persons here who are very involved in that exercise. We have one of our authors. We have somebody who contributed to that exercise, Mr. McQueenie. We two authors. Oh, I'm in trouble. The Director of Archives is also an author. And so, but certainly the minister has a particular interest in this particular story, and in fact, a number of stories which the Archives Department has sought to highlight. We also have in our presence Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ms. Shalene Burrows, Scholarships Administrator. So apologies for that, Ms. Burrows. So without further ado, I invite you to welcome to the podium the Honorable Glennis Hannah Martin.
I want to accept the protocol that we have heard, which is very thorough, Dr. Curry. I thank you for that. And to say that it is with a profound sense of pride that I address you today on this historic occasion. It is a day that intertwines our painful past with our hopeful future, but also signifies that we control our destiny. We gather to accomplish two sacred acts. First, to formally present the Poor Black Kate Order of National Hero Award to the Bahamas Department of Archives, ensuring its permanent preservation as a testament to courage and justice. And second, to unveil a magnificent Bahamian cultural mural designed by the talented young men of the Simpson Penn Center for Boys, a vibrant celebration of our heritage, resilience, redemption, and identity. To truly appreciate the significance of today, we would need to examine, and we've heard it, the brutal reality of our past. Although the Bahamas is often portrayed, as Dr. Curry said, as a minor player in the transatlantic slave trade, our country bore witness to unimaginable cruelty. From the 1600s until that fateful day of August 1st, 1834, our ancestors endured a system designed to break both body and spirit. And it continued after that too. The plantation economy shaped our archipelago differently than other Caribbean nations. With limited arable land, our enslaved population often worked in salt production, sponge harvesting, and domestic servitude. But make no mistake, the chains here were just as heavy, the lash just as sharp. Families were torn apart, and human beings were sold like livestock in the very heart of our capital. And yet, resistance persisted. From the Black Seminoles who found refuge in red bays to the countless unnamed heroes who sabotaged tools, feigned illness, or preserved African traditions, our people never stopped fighting for their humanity. It is against this backdrop that we remember Kate, not just as a victim, but as a silent revolutionary. Born in 1810 on Crooked Island, this 16-year-old girl was enslaved on the Good Hope plantation. Her story forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about our past. For allegedly stealing and showing insolence, Kate was placed in stocks on July 22, 1826. For 17 agonizing days, she was unable to sit or lie down. She was whipped for non-performance and had red pepper rubbed in her eyes to prevent sleep. When finally released, weakened beyond measure, Kate was forced into field labor and whipped again before dying on August 11th. The mockery of justice, but maybe that's a word that colors from today's perspective. Her murderers received only 5 months in prison. This became fuel for abolitionists. Kate's story echoed throughout Crooked Island to London's House of Commons, becoming a powerful impetus in the fight against slavery's inhumanity. While we mark August 1st, 1834 as Emancipation Day, true freedom is not granted by proclamations. As Jamaican sociologist Orlando Patterson reminds us, slavery was not just forced labor, but what he called social death, the systematic erasure of personhood, family ties, and cultural memory. This is why Kate's silent resistance matters so profoundly. When she refused to mend her dress, was she making a statement that no amount of stitching could repair the tears in her humanity? That the insolence she showed was really an assertion of dignity? While we've been emancipated from the physical chains of slavery, in many instances, there's still a battle for mental freedom. To truly be free, you must confront uncomfortable truths about our past, reclaim stories like Kate's from the margins of history, recognize that freedom is not just the absence of chains, but the presence of opportunity. This brings us to the magnificent mural which is about to be unveiled, created by the young men of Simpson Penn Center for Boys. This represents the same spirit of resilience. Through vibrant colors and powerful symbolism, these students proclaim that our culture cannot be contained, our creativity cannot be constrained, and our future cannot be confined by the past. These budding artists' work reminds us that emancipation continues through education, through expression, and through claiming our space in the Bahamian story. As we place Kate's medal in the archives and admire the mural that is about to be unveiled, let us remember that history is not just about dates, but about our dignity. The story of Kate is also a powerful and enduring testament of the dignity of the Bahamian woman. Therefore, we must commit to telling the story of poor Black Kate and to supporting institutions such as the Simpson Penn Center that transforms lives. I wish to salute the Director of Archives, Patrice Williams, and her team for working arduously to preserve our nation's truth. Gratitude is extended to each of you present who understands the call of cultural preservation and the full journey for emancipation. For only by knowing where we've been can we successfully chart where we are going. Only by honoring sacrifices like that of Kate will we build a country where every young person knows their worth, understands their history, and embraces their full power to shape our future. Thank you very much.
What a powerful, passionate, purposeful rendering of the important and impactful life that Kate Moss represents as a hero of our country. Minister reminded us that the lesson from Kate's life and her powerful form of resistance still resonates, still has currency with us today. We must never forget the past, as the past has an important part to play in our present. It indeed is the storehouse of memory, Minister, that drives who we are as a people to this day. I am so glad that you were able to render such a powerful reflection on Kate Moss and the significance of the mural, because that mural captures the creative excellence of young men in our country. And so today is an important, pivotal day as we both unveil the recognized award of national merit as a hero, but also the creative genius of our people in the mural today. So thank you very much, Minister. I now ask my esteemed colleague and friend to come forward and provide a reading of an excerpt from his book, Blind Days, which foregrounds Kate Moss as the principal subject of the book, written impressively in a style that combines poetry, prose, and a genre that might be characterized as historic fiction. The end result is a captivating story that draws the reader into the subjective life and death of our hero. Distinguished guests, I give you Dr. Ian Strong.
Good afternoon. Protocol having been established, I want to just thank the organizers for inviting me to be here. It's truly an honor. And my heart is full. I can't really begin to tell you that when I began on this journey to write about Kate as a descendant of Mosses in Crooked Island, I had no idea this day would come. And it's a beautiful day, a wonderful thing that we are doing for Kate and for future generations. I'm only going to read one page of the novel, but again, thank you so very much for including me in this so very, very important ceremony. And so the one piece I'll read is from a slave named Bacchus, reflecting. A man gonna hurt anything he have power over. It's plain to see. Just look around. Every moving thing in this world born free. They has their do's and don'ts, but they ain't born in chains. Birds free to fly north and south, east and west, no chains. Fishes swims here and there, or wherever they want. No chains. Crabs make hole where they wish. Snake too. No chains. Spider make he web where it suit him. They all go where they pleases, when they pleases. Owl like night, so he stick to that. No one can tell owl, fly in the day, mister, because I say so. Not man. Only creature what bosses each other and tells them, go here, go there. Lift this and tote that. Cut this and plant that. Stand here and don't move or I'll whip you. That's man. Only creature. Only one keep slave. Only one snatch another man and keep him. Put a stock round his neck and a chain round his foot and say, you is mines now. Work when I says work. Sleep where I says sleep. And when you have little ones, they mines too. From they born till they dead. Only man, from what I could see, is do them things. And I've been here 50 years or more. Only man make another man his slave. And then he don't understand why slave hate he chains. Thank you.
That was just powerful. That was powerful, isn't it? Wow. So everyone, you need to buy that book because obviously it's an expression of creative liberty that Ian is able to capture the voice and the way that he puts it in the Bahamian Creole, the Bahamian dialect, as some would say, powerful. So thank you very much, Ian. That was very, very impressive. And now, esteemed guests, this ends the program, as we know. Inside, we are now going to transition to the unveiling of the award and the viewing of the documentary film, which is going to be shown right here on Kate Moss. It's produced with the assistance from the Ministry of Education Communications Department under the leadership of Mr. Byron Thompson.
She was shackled, beaten, and tortured beyond the unimaginable. The fateful and grueling narrative of a young Bahamian slave girl, arguably a martyr, known as Poor Black Kate.
Poor Black Kate was a Creole slave born in the Bahamas in 1810. Her owners were Henry and Helen Moss of Crooked Island. They owned the Good Hope plantation that was near Landrail Point. She was a domestic slave, which meant that she worked in the house. She was probably a kitchen slave working in the kitchen, cleaning, cooking, etc. From the documents, it seemed as if Kate understood that maybe her situation was wrong and she wasn't outwardly rebellious, but she was passively rebellious. So her passive resistance to what was happening to her showed that she was a person of character who understood wrong and rebelled against wrong. The Mosses were considered to be respectable, highly respectable people. The Henry Moss was a member of the House of Assembly, and he was also a Justice of the Peace. So they were perhaps prominent members of the Bahamian society at this point in time. And they had a large amount of slaves, which meant that they were probably very wealthy.
Although subjected to extreme cruelty, Kate, in her obstinate spirit, refused to conform to the commands born from the degradation of her masters. Accused of theft, insubordination, and insolence, Kate was about to be served a punishment that only her soul could survive.
Kate was accused by her owners of being insolent, theft first, and insolent because her dress was torn. And she was told to mend it, and she refused. And for that, she was put in the stocks. She was put in the stocks on the 22nd of July, 1826, for 17 days. And during that time, she was whipped at least 6 times. In reading some of the documents, the nephew or the son of Morse, Henry Morse, when he was told to whip her again, he said, "Again?" So he thought it was excessive. And then there was a witness who said that she heard her cry out a couple times when she was whipped. So she was whipped while in stocks. And you know when you're in stocks, your head is in the stocks, your hands are in the stocks. She couldn't lay down. She couldn't sit down. And when she fell asleep, Mrs. Morse, who as a woman we would think would be more sympathetic, told them to put the red pepper in her eyes so she couldn't sleep. So for 17 days, Kate was in the stocks, in this situation. And then on the 8th of August, she was removed. After Kate was released from the stocks on the 8th of August, 1826, she was placed in the field to work, weakened by the whipping, weakened by sickness and the lack of food. Kate fell ill in the fields, but yet she was still whipped for non-performance of her duties. And she complained about being sick. The sickness had come into the island because her cousin had died from the sickness. So Kate complained that she did not feel well. No one paid attention. She was sent back into the field, where she died on the 11th of August, 1826. The person who really began the ball rolling to indict the Morses was the acting governor, Weezy Munnings, because the complaint was made to him. And he wrote to Lord Bathurst, who's the Secretary of State for the Colonies, and he laid out the case of what had happened to Kate. And it was called cruelty to the slave, not punishment, cruelty. But when Grant came, he was petitioned by prominent members of the society, members of the House of Assembly, who said that they felt that the punishment that Henry and Helen Morse had experienced was too much. Henry and Helen Morse were tried in the Hillary term, the General Court, in February 1827. They were indicted for murder, but the grand jury refused to agree to it. And the grand jury would be made up, of course, of his peers. And they refused. Twice, the grand jury refused. Instead, they gave them a sentence of misdemeanor. Instead of murder, misdemeanor. And for that misdemeanor, they were sentenced to 5 months in prison and a fine of £300. Many felt that that was unfair. As far as they were concerned, Kate was property. They owned her. This was not punishment. This was not cruelty. This was punishment for her insolence. And so they petitioned the governor, asking him to overturn their sentence. So Grant wrote to Bathurst. Bathurst, the Secretary of State, who was leaving office at that point in time, passed it over to Hutchinson. Hutchinson did a thorough investigation of the situation. And as far as he was concerned, they were guilty. And he felt that they should suffer the consequences of their action. Munnings, when they asked him first, said he did not feel compelled to show mercy to people who showed no mercy to their slave. So there was a general consensus that the Mosses were cruel in what they did. This situation came to the attention of the anti-slave movement in England. William Wilberforce and his compatriots used this. There was an actual document that was prepared about Kate and presented to the House of Commons. Kate's situation was looked at as inhumane. In the anti-slavery report, the newsletter that they had in 1828, it was talked about how Kate was mistreated and that Henry and Helen Moss should have served 10 life sentences for what they did to Kate. We have the documents, we have the governor's dispatches where Munnings and Grant wrote to the Secretary of State. We have the General Court minutes for that particular period that indicates why the Grand Jury refused to indict them. We have the testimonies of some of the witnesses from the General Court. We have newspaper articles that gave a rundown of the actual trial. And we also had the petition from the House of Assembly, the members who supported Helen and Henry Moss. As well as we have the slave register, which indicates that in 1822, Kate was 12. In 1828, Kate was dead.
The shackles may bind my body, but they cannot confine my spirit. I will find a way to make my voice heard, even if it is only in the quiet strength of my resistance.
Another round of applause for Mr. Thompson and his team. And Director Williams, you were speaking to me earlier, and you were saying how, you didn't like being featured, but you told the story and narrated it in such a powerful way, you need to be given a round of applause. We have now come to that moment where we're going to do the unveiling of the award. It's over here on this wall, so we're going to ask Minister, PS, our dignitaries to come over to the wall so that we can remove the black curtain, and we're going to see what's behind it. This is the award that presents Kate Moss as our national hero.
Education Minister Glenatana Martin, accompanied by Dr. Michael Toot, Chair of the Advisory Council on Public Records, will now unveil the certificate of the Order of National Hero posthumously awarded to Kate Moss, historically known as Poor Black Kate. The award reads, whereas in recognition of the exemplary service provided to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, the Advisory Committee for National Honors established under Section 3 of the National Honors Act 2016 has recommended that the Right Excellent Kate Moss be conferred posthumously with the honor of the Order of National Hero. Now, this award was conferred in October of 2024 at Government House, but has now made its way for preservation at the
and now
Bahamas
we're going to
Department of
transition
Archives.
to unveiling of the cultural mural.
You are now about to witness the unveiling of a cultural mural brilliantly designed by students at the Simpson Penn Center for Boys. A dynamic presentation of color and creativity expected that is representative of Bahamian culture. This is a project that began in 2024, and due to the persistence of the talented young men, today we see a fantastic display of visual art. The painting depicts a colorful Bahamian scene portraying a down-home narrative featuring multiple stages of life. As expressed by the Education Minister, the work of these young artists reminds us that emancipation continues through education, through expression, and through claiming our space in Bahamian history.